Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to look at Unit 6, Unlock 3, Listening and Speaking, Past Simple Passive. We will look at the meaning, form, and the use of past simple passive. The objectives are to focus on understanding passive voice, to know when to use it, and how to use it. Then we're going to practice, and after that we're going to check answers. So let's start. What is the past simple passive? In an active sentence, we focus on who or what did something. However, in a passive sentence, we focus on what happened rather than who did it. For example, look at these two sentences. One is an active one. Alan Turner invented the digital computer. Here the focus is on the inventor, and thus the subject starts the sentence. And in the second sentence, the digital computer was invented in 1936. The focus is on the invention, the digital computer, and not the inventor. So this is a passive sentence. Now, if you were to add by Alan Turner at the end, it is absolutely fine and acceptable. This is the difference between an active and a passive sentence. Now, when do we use passive? It is important to know that these are the three reasons why you would be switching from active to passive. The first one is when the doer of the action is unknown or unimportant. The second, when the focus is on the action or the result. And lastly, when we don't want to mention the doer. These are the three reasons why we would use the passive. You can see the example when the inventor or the doer of the action is unknown. Glass was invented in the 13th century. We don't know who invented it. When the focus is on the action or the result, the first tablet computer was developed in the 1900s. And lastly, when we don't know or we don't want to mention the doer, the new vaccine was discovered last year. By who? We don't know. Now let's look at the form. So an active sentence starts with a subject, verb, and object, and a passive starts with the object, was and were, and a past participle, and you can add the optional subject at the end. In an active voice, the subject performs the action. That is why it is the first thing in the sentence. However, in a passive voice, the object moves to the subject position because it is more important than the subject itself, and the subject becomes the object, as you can see by. Lastly, the subject is optional. You can add it to a sentence or not. So some other examples are scientists discovered penicillin. This is an active sentence. Passive would be penicillin was discovered by scientists. People used bird feathers and ink, or bird feathers and ink were used by people, optional. Now let's have a look at this short quiz. I'd like you to pause the video here and change the sentences from active to passive. Make sure that the subject becomes the object and the object becomes the subject. You add a was and were before the verb 3 or past participle. Alright, great. Let's look at the answers. I hope you were able to answer them correctly and you could see the difference between active and passive. That is all for today. Thank you very much.